And even following on from that, one thing that I've admired about your career is that you fought valiantly for human rights, most recently speaking out against the Coronavirus Act. How does your
Yeah.
Christian faith impact your politics?
Well, that's a very important question and a very interesting one to talk about. So the first thing I have to say is I think it's really important in politics that what you do and what you vote for and what you agitate for, you can justify on a secular basis. So on the grounds of evidence and reason, okay? And I think it's really important anyone watching this understands that. But that said, of course, politics is really very secondary compared to life eternal. And, I am a Christian believer. So for me, my Christianity is everything. Now, people read the Bible and come up with different answers about what it's all about, right? And that's very, very inconvenient. But when I look at the Bible, what I see is this enormous story over centuries about how the law does not set society right. Let me just read you a couple of things. So I was looking up Hebrews 7:18-19. The former regulation is set aside because it was weak and useless, for the law made nothing perfect, and a better hope is introduced by which we draw near to God. And then in 10:1-4, the law is only a shadow of the good things that are coming, not the realities themselves, and so on. So there's plenty of evidence in the Bible. Take the big story of the Bible and some very specific things. God gave us loads of law. And people who haven't read the Old Testament think that the Old Testament is all about religious law. But it's even got law down to what kind of fibers you mix in your clothes, right? It's got really detailed, practical regulations for how we should live and how we should relate to one another. But the law set nothing perfect, and a better hope is introduced. And that better hope is life through love for God and love for one another. And if we love one another, then that writes the law on our hearts. And if the law is written on our hearts, then we do the right thing. And yes, we fall and we sin, we go wrong, but we pick ourselves up, and by the grace of God, we're forgiven. So my politics, in terms of my philosophical outlook, I am what's called a Christian libertarian. So I think that people should do all those good things that we believe in, look after the poor, the widows and the orphans in their distress, but that people should choose to do it for themselves. And I think that life goes wrong when people cast upon the state the responsibility for looking after everyone else, because we soon discover we can't afford it. 1 Samuel 8 is very good on this. The Israelites asked for a king, and I would recommend anyone reads 1 Samuel 8. Because God tells them that it's God they're rejecting, not Samuel, and tells them how terrible it will be to have a king. So the Bible's got a lot of great stuff in it that supports my point of view that actually we should choose freely for ourselves to care for one another and not cast all our cares on the state. Because what is the state? Well, on the one hand, there's good biblical authority for the state, but also, it is just very practically the institutionalized means of coercing people. It's not there to be kind to people. It's there to force them to do things and refrain from doing things. So when you ask me how does my faith inform my politics? Well, to me, the big story of the Bible is that the law, very practical, very real law, doesn't set society right. And so in a sense, that justifies the conclusion which I'd come to anyway on secular grounds, that the old doctrines of classical liberalism, peace, equality before the law, freedom, family as the basis of society, and strong property rights. Those, for example, that those old classical doctrines, which were once called liberalism, are a good and Christian basis for society. So there's quite a lot in what I've just said. We could talk about that for a while, but I know other people read the Bible and decide that socialism's the way, and maybe it is, but only if it's voluntary. And I don't mind people being socialists and holding their property in common as long as it's voluntary. But the long history of human society is that it doesn't work when the state does it. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, very helpful. I've learned something new about Christian libertarianism now.
Well, I'm a conservative because I'm a Christian classical liberal. I mean, libertarianism has a bad name. But I believe that God believes in life. I believe he believes in liberty, and I believe he loves